one of the things that can always be a concern when we ask students to work independently or in partners or small groups without teacher guidance or direct teacher guidance is the accountability factor. It's like, how are you going to make sure they're doing their work? They're not just playing around. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you some ways that I try to hold students accountable for their work during station rotations, as well as some things that I do to help streamline the class, the rotations, and to centralize the materials and the information for the students. So obviously there are tons of different ways that you can do this, dozens of platforms, but what I'm going to show you in this video are just the ones that I've used and I'm comfortable with. So feel free to explore and do some research to find other ways you could do this, but hopefully you'll get some ideas. If you want to find out what works best for your classroom, obviously you need to decide what's important to you and your students. Because a lot of the digital platforms out there, for example, they don't all offer the same capabilities or whatever. So you just got to figure out what you want and what works best for you and your students. All right, so to start, I use good old-fashioned paper and pencil in my classroom for a lot of the work that the students do. I want to see their work. I want them to have a hard copy for their notes, the sample problems that we do, and that kind of thing. I kind of feel like having the students turn in a physical assignment, that gives them a little more accountability. It makes them feel more accountable, and I just like having that. So each student gets a handout like this for the mini lesson each day. It's got the notes and the problems that we're going to do together, so they'll fill in the notes, and this kind of just goes along with what's up on the smart board or whatever's on the screen, and they can do this together with me. Also, they will get an assignment each day. Now, this will be after the mini lesson, but they'll get an assignment that looks like this, and it'll have their independent practice, and then also they'll take this with them to all the rotations, and it'll have what they need for each station or rotation that they go to throughout the class. So one they keep, and then one they will turn in at the end. So then assignments that are not the pencil paper would be some of the digital content rotation, as well as viewing any video tutorials, flipped lessons. And so to hold them accountable for all of that, I'll use the reports, like IXL reports, Prodigy reports, whatever platform they're using, as well as if they're watching a video and that goes along with something they have as on a piece of paper, I'll have them write symbols and things on the paper so that I can just kind of get an idea if they watched it or not. So that's kind of how I'll keep them accountable on the digital content. As far as digital content goes, I use BlendSpace. So this is an example of the BlendSpace lesson. I use BlendSpace to get all of the instructions, videos, links to websites, links to assignments, whatever I want them to do for the day, I get it to them in a BlendSpace lesson. And it's always the same each day as far as, it always says math with the day's date. And then these things sometimes change, but they always know to go here to get whatever they need for the day. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. Once you get it going, it doesn't take me a whole lot of time to plug things in here. And a lot of these things will stay the same, but I'll put a new video if I need a new video in there. This, obviously, the link to IXL will stay the same a lot of the time. The link to their exit ticket will stay the same. So really, I'm just changing these videos each day, and it doesn't take very long to do that. So basically, I use EduCreations to make flipped lessons or video tutorials. I use Socrative to administer the exit tickets, and I use IXL or Prodigy most of the time for digital content. And these things are all in the BlendSpace lesson for the day. So these videos were made using EduCreations. There's a link to Socrative, and then IXL and Prodigy are in there as well. The way students, basically this is the way that students will have one centralized location to go to get everything they need for the day. So again, there's a lot of other platforms out there that might work better for you. I like using BlendSpace. It's just what I've been using. There are other capabilities BlendSpace has as well. You can actually put quizzes in here and things like that. But, this is what I've been using. So each day, my students are getting 2 handouts. They get their handout, they get that they keep, they get the one that they're turning in, and then they'll go to BlendSpace for stations to get everything that they need. So it's really a centralized thing to me that they don't have to go to a bunch of different places to get what they need. as far as the overall flow of the class during my block, so here's what's going on and being used during whole group instruction. Right off the bat, when they come in and we get started, I'm teaching the mini lesson over the day's teaching point. It takes about 15 minutes to do that. I'm using Google slide presentation just because my smartboard wasn't set up properly and it wasn't working, so I just kind of got in the habit of using Google Slides. If you're using smartboard, great. But I also use the whiteboard or the chalkboard, where I'm doing example problems and things. So I'm just teaching that pretty old school from a presentation. And the students have their handout with a copy of my presentation for them to follow along with. And also, that's where they take notes and do sample problems as I model it for them. So mini lesson, that's what's happening. When we move to station rotations, the students rotate through 4 stations that are 20 minutes each. They have their handout for independent practice, maintenance, reflection, think and jot that they'll take with them to each rotation, and they'll turn it in at the end of class. They'll access all the digital content through the daily Blend Space lesson, which I always name math, and I only change the date each day. Makes it easy for them to find. There I can embed videos, put links to websites, articles, assignments. You can put links to Google Forms. You can even create assessments within the lesson. So once you get that set up, it doesn't take very long to update it each day. I update that every single day, but it doesn't take too long. It probably takes me about 5 to 10 minutes or less to update that Blend Space lesson. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. I found that it's been working well for me in my classroom. Obviously, like I said, there's ways that you can do it other ways, but and there's obviously always a small percentage of kids who there's still a challenge to keep on task. But overall, this design has worked for me at cutting down the distractions, giving students the most autonomy and independence, and giving them everything in a centralized kind of location. So I hope you were able to get some ideas and see that holding students accountable doesn't have to be a chore, and it's very doable. Thank you.